Welcome back. Let's talk about David Lammy. As you know, he's had fishing licence problems. That's the least of his problems, well, in terms of us putting him under the microscope. Never mind his fishing. You know, I just think that's quite funny. Him and J.D. Vance, and J.D. Vance's kids. A couple of rods down to the lake at Chevening. Foreign Secretary's fantastic stately home, his official residence at the weekend. And anyway, it turned out they needed fishing licences, and they didn't have them. And they now face £2,500 fines. But that isn't really what I want to talk about. What I really want to talk about is something, I mean, that's just funny. This, I think, is something of a scandal. That Lammy threw a party called the Summer Reception, Foreign Office Party, on July the 1st at Lancaster House in central London, and it cost basically £50,000 one night, few drinks for the great and the good, 50 grand, our money. Let's talk to social and political commentator James Melville. Hello, James.
Evening, Kevin.
Now, this was a written parliamentary answer to a question from Shadow Transport Secretary Richard Holden. He said that this party that the Foreign Office, the Foreign Secretary, threw on July the 1st, he obviously either went or he saw it and saw what a lavish event it was. So Richard Holden said, how much did this cost? You're allowed to do this. So he got a written answer. And the cost to the public purse of Lammy's largesse was a whopping £49,069.88. One night, one party. This comes after Pat McFadden, the cabinet, you know, Keir's cabinet enforcer, if you like, announced in March much tighter new spending controls, especially for hospitality. So MPs and cabinet ministers were not to be allowed to spend so much on hospitality. How does 50 grand for one night, a party for one night, how does 50 grand fit into this new crackdown on hospitality spending? It doesn't really, doesn't it? That is a grotesque amount of taxpayers' money to waste on a few drinks for the great and the good for a summer party, isn't it?
It is. It's the hypocrisy again of this government. They said they were going to clean up this sort of stuff, that they were going to clean up, you know, all kinds of different things, run a better, more transparent and ethical government, and they haven't. And I think that's one of the many reasons why Labour are tanking in the polls. So much so it's probably the most unpopular first-year government in living memory, because they're a bunch of hypocrites on every single level. And, you know, I think there was an element of good faith attached to Labour when they came in. They certainly really didn't seal the deal in terms of, you know, love for, you know, Labour coming in, but we're willing to all give them a bit of a chance. And they blew it straight away on a number of different things, you know, winter fuel allowance and pensioners, but also the freebies culture, which was pretty much there right at the start, and it's carried on. And so the vast majority of people in this country have given up on this government already. It's going to be a long 4 years for us, and it's going to be a long 4 years for them. And right at the centre of this is this sanctimonious claptrap that somehow they're holier than thou, and they're better than everyone else, and yet actually they're no different. So yes, the Tories were bogged down in a lot of this stuff, but Labour are no different. And we were willing to give them a chance, and they've blown it. And I don't think there's any way back now. And I think the worst thing about it, from Starmer through the rest of the cabinet, through the Labour MPs, is that sort of virtue that they wrap everything, that somehow they're just a little bit better than the rest of us, but their behaviour indicates otherwise. And the second part of this that's really important is this ongoing cost of living crisis, where our taxes are going up, you know, record tax burden, plus, you know, the expenses on essential goods. You know, a lot of people are struggling, yet we pay the wages of these individuals, we elect them, and yet they're carrying on as if somehow they're above the rest of us, and they're treating us like suckers. Yeah. And we need better than this. It doesn't take much, I think, for politicians to be public servants. And there's two aspects to that. One, effective policies that improve the country. But secondly, it's about standards as well. And the Labour government promised They've broken a lot of promises. They promised to clean this sort of thing up, and they haven't.
Yeah, you know, don't forget it's old Starmer when they came into power, when the nation made the profound mistake of electing Labour to government. He said this will be a government of service. And he actually exudes, or he is the epitome of the sort of sanctimonious hypocrisy that you're talking about. So there is this sort of socialist piety about all of them. You know, we're here to serve the people, we're here to smash the class system, to make everything equal. Well, you know, throwing a £50,000 party, you know, where's the socialism in that? Where's the decency in that? And in what way does Lammy think that spending 50 grand's worth of taxpayers' money for a few drinks and canapes for the great and the good helps this country, helps the Foreign Office? It's just grandstanding, isn't it? You know, I'm the Foreign Secretary, here, have some free champagne on me. It's grandstanding. It's sort of almost showing off, isn't it?
It is, and I think the debate needs to be shifted, not so much about why they're increasing taxes. It should be about how they're spending our taxes. You know, there's an argument for a UK version of Doge, you know, root and branch, because ultimately it's our money they're spending. And they promised that they would tighten up this sort of thing. So again, there's a couple of problems. So you've got that kind of the lavish lifestyle that they all lead. You know, it's not just this party, it's all the trips around the world, you know, claiming things like, you know your place in terms of carbon emissions, but we'll swan off on private jets and motorcades and clink glasses and glamorous destinations. It's all of that. And then it's just bad use of our taxpayers' money. I mean, Chagos is a perfect example, carbon capture machines. You know, what's happening with the accommodation on asylum seekers. There's so much wastage at all levels. And I think what the public want more than anything else is a return to what the social contract should be. We pay our taxes, we get a return on investment. And so whether it's what Lammy's doing or whether it's misspent by government on, you know, vanity schemes like carbon capture projects, it's all sum of the parts. You know, we're all struggling right now. The cost of living crisis has been going on since COVID. And what we want from our ever-increasing tax burden is that not just a return on investment, we want accountability, and we want governments not to give off the impression that they're living some sort of lavish lifestyle on our money. And that is getting under the skin of the British people right now.
I couldn't agree more. And it is this sort of, it's classic Labour, isn't it? Socialist politicians, no matter what they say, they do believe, they always have believed in the magic money tree, that if you're the government, there's money. There's all, you know, you can spend whatever you like because the money will become available. Well, the point is, we are on the edge, on the brink of a kind of debt abyss. You know, so this government may soon find out catastrophically that actually the supply of money that it thinks is never ending is not never ending. Now, of course, 50 grand in the great scheme of things is neither a here nor there, but it plays into the way socialist politicians always are. They just think that the public purse is bottomless and it will always give. It is the purse that keeps on giving. So they don't think anything about spending 50 grand on a few drinks for their mates. Yeah, classic socialism, classic Labour government.
Yeah, we've got a real problem at the moment. The national debt has gone up by just more than 2 trillion in the last 20 years. You know, there's a number of major circumstances around that. You know, there's a financial crisis and there's also COVID response. But there's also the sense that governments are spending so much money in the wrong direction. I mean, how is a growth strategy linked to increasing taxes? I mean, this is basic economics, especially regarding small and medium enterprises. We've got farmers, for instance, who are facing a choice of selling their land. Thousands of farmers, over 6,000 farming-related businesses have stopped since the Labour budget. That is not a growth strategy whatsoever. So it's a combination of terrible economic policy punishment politics, from Labour governments, where they're hammering small and medium enterprises, but they're giving a lot of pay rises to the public sector. But who are our wealth generators here? Is our small and medium enterprises, the very bedrock of our society. Well, someone once said that Britain is a nation of shopkeepers. It fundamentally means we're a nation of, that small and medium enterprise culture that's being hammered by this government. And then you have all the stealth taxes as well, which is affecting households. And then you get, and it's an important point with Lammy and what he's doing, we have our politicians not just misspending our money, a lack of growth strategy based on punishment politics and ideology, and then politicians behaving like this. They have forgotten the most important aspect of the social contract. They're public servants.
Yeah.
They should be spending our money wisely, not giving off the impression that they're above it, but not just that they're rubbing our noses in it, clinking glasses with 50 grand parties. And that is why, after 1 year already, the vast majority of people in this country have walked away from the Labour government. Absolutely. They see right through them.
Absolutely. What are we going to do? I mean, talking of money and the money the government has, what are we going to do about the fact that it emerged today that 1 million more people have been put on benefits for life since Labour came into power? What did we learn yesterday? That 8 million people are on universal credit and 3.7 million of them have been signed off work for life. We have more and more people who are just totally reliant on benefits. Our benefits bill, our welfare bill in this country is £300 billion a year. We are addicted to welfare, and it is becoming a clear and present crisis.
It is, and it's only going to get worse with the growth of AI. I mean, if you look at, for instance, the admin and secretarial aspects of many forms of employment, that's going to be stripped out by AI. So it's only going to get worse. So it comes back, and this is the frustrating thing with so many governments. They aren't getting to the heart of the matter on so many issues. You could talk about NHS, immigration, you name it. There's issues that aren't being solved. But one of them is about our employment structure moving forward to then lower what you talked about, the welfare bill. And the only way you can do that is actually providing more jobs and more industry. So it comes back to that. Do you remember what the Tories said years ago? Northern powerhouse. And didn't do anything about it. It's just empty rhetoric. They all do that. But there is something in there that what we need is to reboot those industrialised areas that have been forgotten about for 40 years. I mean, I've spent a bit of time in the northwest of England, northeast of England, certainly the central belt of Scotland, and they're hollowed out. These communities have got high unemployment. It's generational. A lot of them are on welfare. Because their industries have gone, their communities are just like dustlands. And that's why a lot of those communities are reacting to a number of circumstances, because they feel completely forgotten about. So the only way we can address this problem is to actually have the most important thing that I think a government can do right now, and it'll take time, is to regenerate our industry and manufacturing, reboot those communities, lower down the welfare costs, and also turn our country back into an exporting economy rather than an importing economy.
Absolutely. That's unlikely to happen under Labour, though. Keir Starmer, by the way, this petition demanding an immediate general election, it's now got 700,000 signatures, which is a kind of a record. Keir has, of course, rejected calls for this general election. And he will continue to mismanage this country. Those signing that petition, I completely sympathise with their sentiments, but it is a waste of space. We're stuck with this lot for 4 more years, and James, that doesn't bear thinking about. Really good to talk to you again. Let's get you on again soon. That was James Melville, social and political commentator.